Everybody else has one. He was in high school. He was 15. I don't have one, and I'm feeling like I'm missing out. The FOMO arguments. I started with like, what actually are you missing out on? And to his own surprise, he couldn't really articulate what it was. It's more like being in the know, like everyone else, and not having to catch up. That was what I learned.
Welcome back to Wellness Wizards. Today we have another special podcast. Today we will be interviewing Mr. Sebastian.
And what is our topic today?
Our topic is screen time, how amazing it is for you.
Okay. We're really looking forward to having this conversation. This has been a long time coming.
Screen time makes your brain melt so it oozes out of your ears.
Yep, that's what she told us.
And it's true because it happened to me.
So today I'm really looking forward to introducing you, Sebastian. Sebastian Steinbach is a passionate advocate for children's well-being in the digital age, co-leading the movement at Heed the Children, an initiative of Leap Forward. As a dedicated father of 2 teenagers and 1 tween, Sebastian's work focuses on addressing the harmful impacts of smartphones and social media on youth. His initiatives aim to foster healthier alternatives through creative play, adventurous exploration, and authentic self-expression. With a background in community engagement and parent group inspiration, Sebastian's efforts are centered on empowering parents, educators, and activists to create a supportive environment that nurtures children's self-esteem, curiosity, and critical thinking, while promoting a strong connection with nature. So it is such an honor to have you here, and we met you a few weeks ago when we did our screen-free week.
That's right.
Yes, for our school.
At the school.
When?
Yeah, a few weeks ago. Remember when Mr. Sebastian brought all of these wonderful activities for you to do? Do you remember what activities were there?
There was a tug of war, the zero gravity pull rope type line thing.
Mm-hmm.
We had bubbles and...
In the first day?
Yeah, the first day.
We had that parachute thingy.
Right, yeah.
The parachute was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. And, screens are on the minds of parents, educators, healthcare workers, and it's really great that you've been
And that camera.
He's not wrong.
And it's really great that you've been doing this amazing work in the community and trying to help families and schools and, everyone kind of work together to help regulate screen time and what kids are doing on the screens. Can you tell us a little bit more about Heed the Children, what you're doing, what the mission is?
Sure, absolutely. I'm going to take one step back before I do that and talk a moment about Leap Forward, which is where Heed the Children comes from. So Leap Forward is a nonprofit community. We've been in existence for about 8 years now. And our mission is to help people develop themselves so they can be in community with each other, so they can learn to listen to each other, so they can create things together, so they can solve big problems together that we can solve on our own. Things like climate change and other big problems that are just too complex to address on your own. So we work very hard on getting better at coming together in community and then solving problems together. Now, about 3 years ago, COVID times, lockdown times, I saw with my 3 kids how they were glued to the screen all the time. And they had to for school, and then that just continued after school. What I saw, I didn't like. I saw a lot of emotional instability afterwards. I saw a lot of passivity. They didn't want to do anything after they had hours of screen time. And they got really sad. They got sadder by the day. They turned into zombies. I'm saying they turned into real zombies in my own house. So I thought, this cannot be right. And my friends from Leap Forward, who were also parents, felt the same. Kids are a little bit younger, but they had the same issues already happening to them. And so our founder, Ronit, one day said to us, look, if we don't address this issue of the phones taking over younger and younger children, none of our work makes any difference because they will be gone. Their brains will be fried and they will be gone. So something has to be done. That was kind of the moment that we said, okay, let's do something about it. We jumped into learning what is actually the understanding. We're no experts in child development. We're no experts in like screens themselves. So we had to learn. We had to read articles and talk to experts. And so what became clear is that phones are not really healthy for kids, especially social media on them. Very, very dangerous because of the addictive features that are being built into them. Kids have no way of defending against those features because their brains are not equipped yet to do that. Adults have a hard enough time to do so.
Definitely.
Kids have no chance. And so we have to begin with protecting kids from that influence in the first place. So delaying access to phones became like one of the first pillars. But the vision is larger than just delaying access to phones. The vision is, if I see this room with all the beautiful nature images and animals, we envision like a thriving child in a thriving family, in a thriving community, really living their best lives. And so we have to take the phones away so that can actually happen. But the other part of getting to the thriving world is that we have to bring back chances so that kids can have these experiences, so that they know what to do when they can't be on their phones. They will say, so what do we do now?
Yeah.
Nobody's out on the street. I have no friends to play with, which is an issue that is larger than just the phones. But we are very busy these days and have overscheduled our kids. And so like kids don't know anymore how to just be outdoors.
What do you do when you're bored, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys say that sometimes? I'm bored.
Yeah, I normally just, if I'm bored, I read a book. But like during the weekdays, our rule is that we don't get any screen time on weekdays because it like affects our sleep and we have to study well in school. However, on the weekends, starting from Friday after school, Saturday and Sunday, we get 4 hours to all together during that time.
Or
But we
whenever
don't get,
the break ends.
yeah. Like if there's a spring break or like we have a 3-day weekend. But like whenever school ends for that week and starts for the next week, we have 4 hours.
Right. So you have some time to spend on the screens, but you know that time is limited. So do you actually start thinking about beforehand what you will do in that free time, or how does that work for you?
Well, there's normally only 2 things I do with my screen time. I watch one show that I really love, and I play there's this one game on Roblox. It's like a design type thing.
Which one?
It's called Club Roblox. So like, there's a lot of things you can do on it, but my favorite aspect of it is like where you can design homes, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, my daughter likes to do that too. She plays a Roblox game where you can design homes, and then not so much anymore. But I remember these times where like she showed me the new houses that she had built, and so there is some creativity in this world for sure. I must be honest, I was a gamer myself, and I was when I was your age. Different technology, but still, I mean, that had an appeal.
Yeah.
Anyways, does that give you an impression of like what do we work towards?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So I think that, as a pediatrician, it's something that I've been seeing over the last several years. I've seen increased risk, and I know that this is something that's kind of known out in the community. We're seeing more depression, more anxiety, more visits for evaluations for ADHD and diagnoses of ADHD as well. And I think that, there's a lot of more concerns I'm seeing about like a body dysmorphia, where people feel like their appearance is not what it should be.
Yep.
There's a lot of problems that I see, and I worry about child safety as well. Just because there are a lot of predators out there, and our kids, when they're on social media, we don't really know who they're talking to. They don't know who they're talking to. A lot of times they might think that they're talking to somebody who's their own age, and it's actually not.
It's true.
So I do a lot of counseling around that with my patients to at least at the minimum, even if, I don't have time to address everything, I say, are you talking to people on these sites? Do you talk to people that you don't know? You're not sure who they are, like you're just knowing them from a username. But I mean, all of that aside, I'm just seeing a lot more of these social issues that are coming up, and definitely a lot more referrals. So it is very worrying what to do about it.
Yes, and it's, in a way, it's like, that frog that boils in the water. Have you heard of that story? Like the frog, when you boil a frog in the water, don't do that ever, by the way, in real life. But if you did, the frog will not notice that the water is getting hotter until it's too hot, and he will die. And so we're a little similar, I think, that we like, the water is getting harder and harder, and we read about these statistics and that kids are not doing well and they don't like themselves and they don't know what to do in their lives. So the statistics say like hopelessness, no idea what to do in my life, in the world, being without purpose, and then feeling alone. So we see all that. What does it take for us to say, let's do something about it? Like, how much harder does the water have to get?
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you suggest, or what maybe you can give some ideas?
What's
what
so
to
good
do.
about social media? How's it even fun anyways?
Well, Maya, do you do any social media at all?
YouTube?
It's not really quite social media. They're not really on it.
Yeah. I mean, I used to create YouTube videos. And that's like when
Oh, during the elections.
Yeah, during the elections, I would have a map up on the screen, and I was making videos showing about which countries are voting for Trump, which countries are voting for in different areas and stuff. And so that was when I was 7, when we were in Florida. I did a lot of those videos.
Right.
I only go on my watch to call my mom, dad, or my friends. Otherwise, I only go on Gmail when my mom sends me a photo for the slides for my speech.
Right,
I
the
hate
speech.
social
Yes,
media.
yes.
I hate social media.
You know, social media means Facebook and Instagram.
I think that a lot of people are interested in social media because they're afraid of missing out on something, right? I
Yeah.
think the biggest thing is that FOMO, fear of missing out.
What about school? You can
I
just
think
find out a tool.
Well-
I think that also some people give their phones to children because they think oh wait, they're gonna go out, but I don't know what's gonna happen to them. So our parents thought that about us too, but they thought that it would be harder for us to keep track of a phone. We could do a lot more things on a phone. So instead, they really just got us a watch. So you can call. I mean, you can play games like tic-tac-toe on it if the parents enable it. Which you don't have to enable it. You just have to download it. But why would you want to play something on a thing that's this tiny?
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, but you were
No,
saying something.
it's just we're flowing, right? I mean, the big question that you asked is what I recommend, and so I don't even have a really good answer for that. And I guess the main reason for that is that it's really a complex topic. Some things are clear, like social media is designed to addict us. Period.
Absolutely.
So don't give cigarettes to kids. Don't give alcohol to kids. It's the same. Okay, so that's. But then again, kids need connection. Kids look for belonging. They look for their groups. I mean, that's what drives them into the social media because they think they need it to belong.
Right.
Because in middle school, it's often the token of belonging. Oh, you don't have a phone. My kids don't have one.
Yeah.
And so there was, not anymore, but there was why can't I get one because my friends have one?
Right.
And so I think the most important thing that comes to mind when you ask about a recommendation is more a wish, which is discover or rediscover ways together so that kids can build more real life community again,
Yeah, and I mean, I think that this is really the age to kind of set that in that before middle school time, kind of to make that agreement that, maybe within families that we wouldn't necessarily give a phone or,
Right. So I think I misunderstood the question a little bit because I looked at the big picture of all of society. But if we talk about parents,
yes.
I mean, yes, if parents hear this, the number one thing you want to get clear about is when will you give your kids a phone or when will you not give it is maybe the better question. Yeah. So it seems so crystal clear now that 16 is really the earliest age that you should give a smartphone with social media on it. Everything earlier is just very, very risky based on what we know.
So you said with social media on it. What age would you recommend without social media?
So there's different opinions. We all heard of Jonathan Haidt, who's this big researcher in the... Right. I almost brought him along, but he wouldn't come. Yeah. No, he's too busy promoting his book. So he makes a distinction of no phone before 14, no social media before 16. Personally, I feel once you give someone a smartphone with a browser on it, the floodgates are pretty much open. So you can't really control what that phone accesses if there's a browser on it. So in my mind, it's the same age 16 for a smartphone. And social media cannot come to you before that anyways. I mean, you could try to get it on your PC at home, but it's cumbersome and it's not really the same addictive deployment than on the phone.
Yeah.
So there's watches, right? There's the
Yes.
smart watches that can be used, and then there's I usually say the dumb phones.
You can call it dumb phones, flip phones,
Yeah.
cool-looking phones that don't have apps on it. Sorry, please.
Yeah. But I know some like 5th and 4th graders at my school that like they have phones and you can like see them walking out of school holding them. And the first few times I see them walking out of school calling their parents saying I just left school, and it seems like they have a long walk, and then now I've been seeing them when they walk past my house, they're like scrolling on social media and stuff.
Of course.
And they're like in 5th and 4th
And
grade.
it's not their fault. They can't help it.
Right.
Their parents give it to them and let them
That's
have
it.
It's
it.
like you get served whipped cream with Nutella and sprinkles every morning for breakfast. You probably wouldn't want that, but I mean, it's similar. Like, it's not the kid's fault. If you have that thing that blinks and beeps and is so interesting, your brain is wired to respond to that.
Yeah.
You have no chance. So these kids have no chance.
Remember we talked about dopamine? And we had that discussion about how that's like increases our pleasure, and we kind of seek that more. And when we do certain things, we actually look for more of a increase in our dopamine, so we then do more of it. And I mean, like, we'll see kids sometimes who are up until like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning on their screens.
Like, there's one kid in my class who's always exhausted, and I asked him, why are you so tired? Because that day he was particularly tired.
Yep.
And he's like, because I was up till like 2 a.m. scrolling on Instagram.
And he was in your class.
Instagram?
Yeah. He's in 5th grade.
Wow.
You know what?
And he there's this one character he's very obsessed with, and he's literally just looking stuff up about it, and like all on Instagram, Facebook, not Facebook, like Instagram, TikTok, and just scrolling through these websites like till 2 a.m.
My friend had a sleepover, and the people who came over, they were like playing video games from like 2 in the afternoon to like 5 in the morning.
They didn't stop. Like, they ate food on the couch
Yeah.
and stuff.
No, they stopped once the dad was asleep, and then they went back on.
Like, the dad has this one rule. Listen, I'm going to go to bed at a certain time, and an hour later, I'm going to come out and get you. So what they do is they wait to hear us snoring, and then after he puts them to bed, and then they just go back to the games, and he'll never know.
Yeah.
Till the morning, of course.
Yeah, so the sleep thing is really big. The sleep thing is really, really big, and my kids don't have phones. I mean, the oldest one now has one, but my girls, 12 and 14, they have iPads. No social media on it. And I even switch off the Wi-Fi at night. But that doesn't prevent them, I learned, to stay up anyways and do little games. It's those are addictive enough, apparently, to keep you up at night.
What little games?
Some like farming game that they play.
Offline games.
Yeah, so we didn't look, my ex-wife and me, we live in 2 different houses, so they go back and forth. I have been a little bit more, let's say, alert about policies at home. She's very open, but she just wasn't as connected to it. And when we started looking at the screen time, which is kind of a statistic that the Apple devices show you, how much was it used for the first time a month ago, we were shocked. We saw that in the week that they were with her, where there weren't any internet blocks yet, because the kids had their device in their bedrooms. My middle daughter stayed up 2 nights in a row until 2:30 in the morning, school night, and a total of 40 hours on her device in a week.
40 hours?
40 hours.
That's 10 times more than we get.
And not of all, so it's a mix of, she spent it on entertainment, which was 20 hours, and the other 20 was mostly chatting with her friends. So like sending texts back and forth.
20 hours for texting?
It's what you do is great to stop device use an hour before sleep, or even 2, because of the blue light and the melatonin. Screen time budgets, I think, is great. I'm a big fan of screen time budgets, but I've also learned that it is helpful to have different types of budgets. So there's, like, if you think about it as food, there's fast food. You get a certain amount of that. You can do like video games, anything that's just empty. But then there's other screen time that is more beneficial, like an educational video or a documentary or a show or a certain type. So you can have that in a different bucket. And then talking to your friends over the screen is yet another bucket, which is actually then it becomes kind of healthy. Unless you stop seeing your friend in real life and only do screens, then it's a problem. But like those are different types of screens, which I had good experiences with separating in terms of budgets.
So, I know that you had your son, who had to go through like a process to get his phone. So what was that process?
He started asking me about the phone about a year ago. And the argument was like, everybody else has one. He was in high school, he was 15. I don't have one, and I'm feeling like I'm missing out. And so I'm the FOMO arguments. I started with like, what actually are you missing out on? And to his own surprise, he couldn't really articulate what it was. It's more like being in the know, like everyone else, and not having to catch up. That was what I learned. So okay, so let's start talking about the phone. And I want to have a conversation with you so that I can share my concerns, so you can understand them, and I can understand why you want one. And then if we do that, we come to a point where at some point there will be an understanding, okay, you can have one now. And what I started with was, why do you want the phone, really? And how will it change your life? And I said, Benny, my son's Benjamin, his name is Benjamin, and Benny, when we talk about phone, I also want to talk about your screen time in total. Because you already have a computer, spend lots of time on the computer. If we just throw a phone in there, what do you think is going to happen with your overall screen time? Is it going to go up or down? Of course it's going to go up. Would that be healthy? What do you think? He said, probably not. Why? Well, because I spend lots of time on my computer. Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about your entire life, actually. What do you want in your life? What's important to you? How do you want to invest your time? And how much of that is going to be supported by screens? In which way? And how much? And so that took us a couple of months. And like 3 or 4 times, picking him up after school, having lunch together, and then talking about these things that came up for him. And so what he discovered is that he actually wants to spend more time in the real world. He said he wants to learn languages with it. He wants to use Duolingo to learn Mandarin better. He wants to check his homework and stuff on the bus to and from school so he can get ahead on his homework. Okay, that makes sense. He wants to chat with his friends and do some social media for that reason, posting things he does to his friends and seeing what his friends are doing. But like not more than 30 to 45 minutes weekday and weekend a day, which if we look at the research is a healthy amount. So if it goes over 2 hours, which I think is insane already, then apparently all the indicators of mental health go in the wrong direction. But like less than an hour a day or even half an hour seems to be totally okay, at least from what we know today.
So, I mean, you were talking about the educational programs.
Really?
Yeah,
Helping.
you were saying that it's good, that the good parts of screen time.
Oh, yeah.
Right, that there's some education.
Yeah.
Do you know of a good way to, because there's so many educational programs and some of them are just kind of like click, swipe,
You mean
not-
ed tech?
Yeah, like not really educational.
Right. That's actually not even what I meant when I said it. I know these exist, and there are probably good ones out there too. And the schools are really interested in using those. Not all of them, I think they should use, but that's a different topic. What I meant by educational content is typically it's YouTube. There are some really, really good YouTube channels, like yours, that produces content that is just helpful. I mean, I use it for my own education. I follow a few people, and it's just high quality content.
I think that a lot of people think middle schoolers should have them. And so there's a rule at my new school that I'm going to. There is no, if you have a phone,
do not disturb.
Yeah, do not disturb, and in your backpack cannot be brought out the whole day. So if they had to make a rule like that, it seems that they've encountered people using their phones during school hours. So if they had to make a rule like that, which is using it during school hours when a teacher is teaching you is also not the best. Not what you're
That's
really
true.
supposed to be doing.
Yeah. So there's manners, right? There's manners even when it comes to screen time. You're not around other people.
And many schools introduce more and more of these rules because they see that when they have no rules, kids just do whatever they want. They watch YouTubes, they play games in class. There's no learning. There's more policing than anything. And the kids don't connect with each other anymore.
Yeah.
One time a fourth grader was using her phone at recess, and the third graders told on her.
each other's
Why do
company.
kids say IRL fun?
We're having
It's
real
just
life
fun.
fun.
In real
It's
life.
just
We have,
fun.
that's right. Neil, that's a very good point. I think it's just fun.
Why do you have to use
Original
in real
fun.
life? We're always in real life.
No.
It's not like
Well,
we're
he's
in heaven
right.
or hell.
No, you're right.
We're not dead.
Yes, you're right. But I think it's as opposed to virtual, like not having that connection with people.
It's IRL and IVL, like in virtual life.
Oh, is that a term?
I don't know.
There's
Actually, I don't
life.
know.
There's virtual life. How's that even possible?
How's it even life, right?
Yeah.
Neil, you have wisdom.
Can someone be born in like a video game?
I hope not.
Maybe one day we might get to that point.
Please not.
I hope not, but
I don't want to see that day.
yeah.
Bye bye everyone. Please don't watch any more videos or else your brain is gonna melt.
Sorry, my brain is melting.
Thank you everyone for joining us. I had a really lovely discussion. Thank you so much, Mr. Sebastian, for being here with us
Thank
today.
you for having me.
And for teaching us. I'd really like to hear all of your comments to find out what you think. If you have children, what age have you decided to start their journey on having a smartphone? If you haven't yet started them, what would you like to do? And what questions can we answer for you? So it was a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.